Okay, so we'll just do a little Pesach info and then like 5 minutes, and then we'll get to the more interesting part. I don't know if it depends what I call interesting, but interesting part of the class. Okay, so there is a verse from the sages that says that 30 days before the holiday, we need to start preparing, especially Pesach, Passover, because it's a big one. Okay, there you go.
The kosher Passover jelly,
I've gotta go.
So I did.
Yeah.
I know I'm recorded. I'm recorded.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, everyone knows.
Wow. It says $15, and then you're a Ralph's member.
Yeah,
So that says
Oh,
like
really? How much was it?
$9.99.
Oh, that was
The 5 pound.
the 5 square pound.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Do they have the other kind there or
They
no?
have,
The
yeah.
Shmura, the
No,
handmade?
not
No, it's not, only some of them do.
Some,
Only some
yeah.
places do.
No.
Or I don't even know if they. I know they used to. I don't know if they still
Well,
can.
this is the they had that, and
Yeah.
that's a good
Oh,
though.
you'd be surprised.
That's
You'd be surprised.
amazing. Well,
Okay.
that
Anyway, so
trip.
yeah, so some people said, what does it mean you have to prepare for the holiday for 30 days in advance? So yeah, so the traditional thing was something called, was like collecting your wheat so you can make your own matzah. In the old days, they didn't have the like more the commercial or the group baking, and people would just take care of it themselves. But today, obviously, that part is easy for us in a way. But there was something called ma'os chitim, which means wheat for the poor. So besides for collecting for yourself, you got to make sure the poor people who didn't have the ability to buy their own wheat to have wheat so they can make their matzah. There's actually many stories connected to that about making sure people have that. So whatever it means today, getting your matzah, making your food orders, start your Passover cleaning and all your
the signature too.
whatever too. Yes, we're going to get that. So we start our cleaning, make sure there's no chametz in our homes. We sell the chametz. So we sell it. So I think also like in the old days, most people didn't have like food obviously wasn't shelf stable. Most food wasn't shelf stable. That was like
Right.
And probably most people only had like one, a few pots or pans or whatever it is, and they would kosher it before Passover. Today, in our, what called instant or disposable generation, it's so easy to just get, a separate set for Passover if you need. So we could take all our stuff that's chametz, and we can put them in one place and have it sold by this whole interesting contingent sale with the rabbi, and that's why it's important to sell it. It's a little form we fill out, which is really easy. And just that's kind of makes things easy. You just, have your Passover dishes if you need, and leave that over there. Okay.
Yep.
So what is chametz? Just a review for in case anyone doesn't know. It's any of the 5 basic grains, which is wheat, oat, barley, spelt, and rye.
Oh.
Okay, it's only those 5 grains if they're mixed with water for 18 minutes or more. Okay, that's like the hardcore term of the word chametz. Now, we abstain from eating anything of those 5 grains, whether it was mixed with something or not, except for matzah. So matzah can be made of these 5 grains, but we don't eat anything else of these 5 grains over the holiday. Yeah. And then all the other like grain kind of foods are called kitnios, which is a category of foods. Maybe because I don't need it, but you never know. Is a category of foods that are like, because they're grain-like, we stay away from them, like rice and I know buckwheat, millet. I'm just thinking about other kind of things, beans, like legumes,
corn, yeah.
The Sephardim do eat those. Eat those type, or some of them at least.
Some of them.
Some of them.
I found out not as much as you think.
First I always thought it was rice. I think also even different ones eat different stuff. So some only eat rice, and some eat more than just rice.
And some don't eat rice at all. They eat like certain green types of beans, like
green beans. Yeah,
like Moroccans, like Nino and Cassandra. They eat the green beans, but they don't eat rice or the other there's like a big bean, like a big green thing. They eat that, but they won't eat the other.
But they don't eat rice.
I don't think they do.
Well, that's interesting.
It's weird. They don't eat, but
right, because green beans is considered a kitnios, but we eat the green beans.
They eat the green ones.
Yeah, so there's a lot of interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Right, but Ashkenazi Jews stay away from all of that. And some people say that if potatoes were around in the time of the Talmud, that would have been banned too. So-
Really? No. Thank goodness for small
Right?
Yes.
Ah. Okay, so why do we eat matzah on Pesach? Obviously, it's a command in the Torah, so that's the number one reason why we do it. Number two, the famous one that the Jews had no time to bake because they had to leave Egypt in a hurry, so they quickly baked a quick matzah, which they say that the original matzah was more like a soft, kind of like a laffa, like a soft, thick,
Not like pita. No, not
really a pita, but a soft, thick
oh,
thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
right.
And not so much about what we eat, the crispy one that we eat today. I think in Yemen they may still make it like that.
Maybe yeah, Yemen. They're
think
super,
yeah.
they're super traditional.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, very interesting. But and it's like thicker than what we have
Wow.
and soft.
I'll have to ask Ben Marone. He's 100% Yemen. I'll have to ask.
Okay, you can ask
Then-
if he.
then-
I'm not sure. I think it's Yemen. I'm not 100%.
Yeah, I think you're right. No, I think you're
Yeah.
correct. Yeah.
Okay. Another thing, matzah is called poor man's bread, right? It's just a little bit of flour and water, and slaves didn't have much time. Although it sounds from the other things we learn about in the Torah, it sounds like they weren't hungry, the slaves in Egypt. It sounds like they had meat, right? Because like it says, oh, why do you take us out of the desert?
Right.
To die, at least in Egypt we had meat. So, they had meat and stuff as slaves, but I guess matzah represents the poor man, the slave, like something, someone who doesn't have a lot, it's easy to eat. A more mystical, famous reason is that matzah, for the holiday of Passover, we eradicate our ego. So matzah is flat and it doesn't puff up, it doesn't rise. And so on leading up to Passover, we kind of work on ourselves not to be like haughty and like puffed up and risen, but we try to be like matzah and like
flat and boring.
No, but just just not egotistical, not think only of ourselves. Okay. This year is really interesting because Passover comes out on Saturday night.
I know, it's a killer.
So it's good.
It's good and bad.
So for, let's say, the fast of the firstborn, which is usually done the eve of Passover, right? The morning of before Passover, we can't do it Shabbos, and we don't do it Friday. So instead we do it Thursday. So that is for anyone who's a firstborn.
Man or
it's a
woman?
man, although there are some, like I know the Persians, the women also do it. They have a tradition because God skipped the homes of the Jews when they killed all the firstborns. The Jewish firstborns were saved in that plague, and so they remember that by like fasting, but they don't really fast because in the end, most of the time they break their fast with a celebratory meal, like a siyum. Someone finishes some type of learning, like a tractate or of Talmud or something like that, and then they don't need to fast. So that's what most people do today. But it's done on Thursday this year and not on Friday.
Well, they don't do fast at all. They just cut their fast.
They fast until that, which is usually in the morning.
Right. Okay. Until that moment of celebration.
Right. So that's usually done like right after Shacharis, right?
Oh, I mean,
yeah. So like usually after Minyan, someone says over, whatever was the end of what they learned, and then they all eat something.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So okay.
Sorry.
So this year, okay. So because Passover this year is Saturday night, so a lot of things got pushed up. So the fast of the firstborn is Thursday. The Thursday night we search for the chametz.
Right.
And Friday morning we burn the chametz and we say the special prayer that we are here. If we want to read it over here, we have it in here. That we like what is it? That we we kind of like make our any chametz that we own ownerless and like dust of the earth. So a little prayer you say that on Friday morning do that by
10:30 usually.
Yeah, so by 11:40.
11:40.
11:40 you burn it. Yeah, and you say it. Yeah.
Oh, good. Yes,
okay.
Good.
Now, but the thing is that because it's Shabbos coming in and Shabbos is not yet Pesach, we still have to make the hamotzi and the challah and the bread.
Right.
So what most people do is you just save your whole house is ready for Passover. Your food is all Passover,
Yes.
but you have a little bit of challah or bread, set aside just to make the hamotzi.
On Friday night only, but
And Saturday and
and
Shabbos
Saturday.
morning if you do it early enough.
What about the third meal, the shalosh?
So no, you can't
Oh, you
because
can't.
you can't
I
make
just wanted to
hummus.
ask you.
Yeah.
So you can do it Friday night, Saturday like at 1, let's say.
No, Saturday morning it has to be before 10:38 a.m.
Whoa.
Yes.
So it's like breakfast.
Yeah, so we'll go through this. Yeah.
Whoa. Oh,
So
that's good to know.
So
You sent these out, right?
yeah, you should have
Okay.
gotten it in the mail already.
No.
Oh, we did. Okay.
Well,
So
you sent it to yourself. Just kidding.
so so Friday night you have your little challah. Now you have to be careful it doesn't go in your house. Either if you have a yard or a porch, you can do the hamotzi there, eat there, finish it up. Whatever's left over, if you have like napkins with crumbs, you could flush it down the toilet, or if it's just you just let it go out into the air, like if you have like a place where you can just let it be ownerless. It's
I have a
not
question. Sorry,
the
I
birds
don't
may
mean to
eat it.
disrupt, but
Yeah.
one person said to me that she was going to eat like egg matzah, something like it's not for
Okay.
yeah, because it's not for
You can't
Passover.
wash on it. That's the
Can't.
problem.
Oh,
You can't wash
Oh, you can't wash it.
It's a Mazzona.
Oh, I don't know what she's gonna do then. Not
What's a
sure.
Mazzona?
Like
So
well,
when there's grain that's made with flour, like bread,
Like
you
it-
wash on, but otherwise
a cookie,
a
like
cookie
like
or
like
like a
wheat with
snack, a
sugar.
cracker,
Yeah, a lot of sugar.
is Mazzonos, so it's not
Cake.
hamotzi, so you can't do
Yeah,
the
so it's like
washing.
wheat with a lot of sugar.
Okay.
Yeah.
So-
Not always sugar. It could
Well,
be
I know.
pretzels
It's
or something
pretzels.
like
Oh yeah,
that.
that's right.
Yeah.
It's not right.
Right.
Well,
So
right.
yeah. So you'll do that Friday night.
Okay, and then 10:30. Oh,
And somehow get rid of the rest of it. Now Shabbos morning,
goodness.
because we have to be finished eating. Usually, on the Erev Pesach, Eve of Pesach, we have to finish eating our chametz by a certain time.
Mhm.
So this year it's 10:38 a.m. Shabbos morning, and so we have to be done by then. So what they do is that we have service in shul really early, like 7 a.m. And so we're done before 10. And then we do kiddush and we wash. And again, same thing, we have to eat the challah or whatever outside or somewhere where it's not going to get all over the place and make sure there's nothing left. And that's our Shabbos meal. So it's not going to be, kiddush won't be like at 1 o'clock like it usually is. It's going to be like at 10 in the morning.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So
yeah.
you guys gotta get up early. What time do you read Torah?
Early. Yeah. So we start at 7. Yeah. They'll probably read the Torah by 7:30, 7:45.
Oh, for Shabbat. Usually Shabbat,
Yeah.
you guys are kind of late.
Yeah, usually we do late. Yeah.
Yeah, but you're gonna do early Shabbat.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, so that's very different this year than usual. But then instead of a whole day rushing, trying to make your food and putting it together, you get the whole rest of the day to relax because you can't do anything because it's Shabbos,
Right.
and we don't start preparing for the Seder till Shabbos is over, which is really late this year.
Yeah.
8:07. So
Wow.
till 8:07, we can't do anything for the Pesach prep. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a very unusual. Okay. And then of course don't forget to light your candles on Saturday night.
Wait, so you can't even
before
cook
the
the
Seder.
roast or anything like that? You can't cook the because I'm cleaning my
You
thing on
can
Wednesday.
pre-cook it on Friday, but you
Right.
can't put it in the oven until after Shabbos, or
Okay.
unless you can have it slow cooking the whole time somewhere.
But you can't cook it Thursday.
You can cook it Thursday. You could
Yeah,
if
'cause I'm
your
cleaning
pastor's
it.
ready.
Yeah, right. I
If
clean
everything's ready.
Wednesday, then I
Yeah,
cook
yeah,
Thursday. Okay,
yeah,
perfect.
yeah,
Perfect.
yeah. You just can't actually do the cooking.
Or I could cook Friday day before
Yeah,
Shabbat. Oh,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
perfect. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So now we're going to go into what is all about the cup of Elijah. Okay, we all heard of it, but what is it? That is going to be our.
Okay.
So we'll start off is, do you feel that our generation today is greater than or less than spiritually to the past generations, to the old generations of old? Do you feel we are lacking in our spiritual service, or do you feel like we have
I think it's
we're
different.
progressed or
I
have
would say
advanced?
it's different. It's
Okay.
different. I would say it's different.
In what way?
When you say our generation, well, there's so many generations now that I see. I mean, I see, millenniums, Gen Z.
Oh, that's for sure. Okay.
I mean, they're all
We'll
different.
discuss
They're
that
all,
too.
they're all different spiritual.
Let's say 1,000 years ago, in a way, the Jews then they were so much more pious. They knew so much more. Like if you're saying Torah wise,
Right.
they were much more
Mhm.
they delved deeper into it. I think they were much more spiritually connected
Mhm.
in a way. So they wrote the Talmud. Think of the people who wrote the Talmud. Think of the people who,
Mhm.
there were these great yeshivas, and even in the exile, even in Babel and Babylonia,
Mhm.
in Europe, there were all these great
Mhm.
rabbis, and like they say, people knew so much
Mhm.
more than most of us today. So, in a way, like some people may feel like we're like dwarfs compared to them. Yeah, we have so much more available to us. You
Mhm.
can learn and read anything, but it's so much easier for us.
Mhm.
You know, you just get a book. And those
Mhm.
even just for them to
Right.
get a book, they had to like write, before the
Right.
printing press, they actually had to write it
Oh.
out,
Oh,
but they
yeah.
had to learn. They knew a lot more in a way, or they I don't know, knew, but like they were much more connected or much more
Well, yeah, I agree
like
with that.
like from a religious sense, they were much more
Yeah.
spiritually connected. And even though
Mhm.
today we have more access and
Mhm. Mhm.
it's easier for us, right?
Well, I'm gonna say something different. I think people are more consciously aware, like constantly say to themselves, like, be nice, be nice, be aware. Even like in the old days, to me, people didn't say that.
Oh,
You
for
know what
sure.
I mean? They didn't say that, but I hear a lot now, and people just talking to themselves. Okay, I gotta be nice, I gotta be, even though they're not, but it's in their brain now, so they are consciously trying to be nice. I've seen it at work where people try to be
Right.
nice.
But I'm thinking more
Yeah.
like in a sense of
Or pass
like
over. Well,
connecting
yeah,
to God, or like knowing
oh yeah, that's true. Yeah,
like
yeah, that's true.
like
Yeah, it's
certain
not.
things like
Yeah.
so I actually I have a book. Do you heard of Glickle of Hamelin?
What?
Glickle of Hamelin? Have you no one heard of it? Okay.
Mhm.
She was a woman in the 17th century, I think, 16th, which is not so long
I'll
ago.
look her up.
But she was educated,
What's your first name?
Jewish woman in Europe, and she was literate. She wrote a diary.
How do you spell her name?
Glickle. Oh, I have the book right here. You can take a look at
Okay.
it. Glickel. I'm not sure. And she lived in Hamlin, which is maybe part of like I don't know what it is today, like Germany or somewhere.
Right.
And if you read her diary, so they have it translated in English. It is very, very interesting. I kind of opened my eyes up a lot. But one of the things I noticed there is like a lot of like every other word in her diary is
Mhm.
like quoting words from Torah, or like
Mm.
keep saying, "Oh, if God, da 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 da," like God help us, or God please God, or whatever. Like she
Wow.
keeps like every other sentence
Hmm.
is like she had. We don't really talk like that so much. They were just in a way they were much more connected, or um not so, I guess maybe not so much into like everything else going on in the world, not so connected to the outside world or whatever it is, but in a way they were able to delve and understand, I think, Torah in a way deeper. Yes, today we're given it on a silver platter, so it's
Mhm.
like easier for us. Um, so so then the question is, so in a way, we're like considered like a simple generation because it's just given to us. We just read it as opposed to us like having to go out and find it and get it and be automatically, or not automatically, but connected in a higher sense. Like for example, I'll give you an example. I don't know if this is a good example or not, because I don't know if you'll understand what I'm saying, but like today, like in the old days, let's say, God forbid, like someone's wife would die, right? Sometimes
Yeah.
like if the sister was available, let's say they'd marry the
Oh,
sister
right.
out of necessity, right?
Mhm.
It wasn't like all about me. It wasn't all about like, oh, but this is what today we can't even imagine such a thing because we're so egocentric. But like they were kind of there for a higher cause. And today I think we're so much more just into our own life, into our own self, and we don't always see like a bigger picture. You know what I'm saying? So in a way, we're looked at as like, if you look at the past generations, we're looked at as more simple in the spiritual sense. We don't really get it all. Yes, we have to study it, we have to learn it, we have to acquire it, and people are very much into that now, like trying to understand things, right? And we have the time and the ability to do that today. But then I think with certain things are more innate within them.
Mm.
So if we're considered a generation that's like kind of like think of Gen Z compared to whatever generation you're from, right? So we think of them as, oh my God, they're like, God help them, right?
Mhm.
But in a way, that's how we are compared to the past Jewish generations in a spiritual sense. So then what is it about it? Is there anything special about our generation? Is there anything good about our generation? Is there anything unique that is a merit for us? Okay. So we're going to delve into a concept of the Seder to get a bigger picture of what our generation's all about. Probably just write off Gen Z and say, hey, they're a whole bunch of right? Lazy,
No,
this,
I
that.
think
Yeah.
millenniums are worst, actually.
You think millennials are worse?
Yeah, they're early ones. They're from like age, what, like 29 to 43. That's the worst one I see. At work, the younger ones are great. No, the young ones, 22 to 27, they work really hard.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, just the 28-year-old to the 43-year-old. Very not my cup of tea.
Huh.
The
Interesting.
younger ones like totally crazy. They're
Oh.
like they work really hard
Yeah.
and they're nice.
Huh.
Yeah,
Interesting.
it's this older, little bit older.
Okay, we'll see. We'll see how that generation goes. Okay,
Mhm.
so we heard. I think everybody here has heard of Elijah's cup, kosher Eliyahu. Okay, so it's a custom at the Seder that we, towards the end of the Seder, we take a cup, we fill it with wine, but we don't drink from it, right? Because we say
Yeah.
Eliyahu is going to come and he's going to come and drink from it. Um, and so that's the story. So there's many stories about it, and I'll share one or maybe two. I'll start with one, and then we're going to go into where does this idea come from. Okay, so there's a famous story given by the great Hasidic master Rabbi Yisrael of Ruzhin. He lived at the end of the 18th, beginning of the 19th century.
Oh.
And he says that once upon a time there was a very wealthy Jew, and he was a very good man, spiritually involved, gave a lot of charity.
Where's this?
It was somewhere in Europe,
Europe,
probably.
okay.
And gave a lot of charity. He was very careful about doing the mitzvahs. And one mitzvah he really enjoyed was his cup of Eliyahu. He bought this gorgeous golden cup and he adorned it with jewels and pearls and everything. And every year he would take it out before Passover and shine it and then set it up on the table in a special place. And everyone knew, wow, this was like the centerpiece of the table, Elijah's cup. And unfortunately, after some time, he lost his fortune. The wealthy man now became poor to kind of keep up with the with his to be able to live. He started to sell things in his home. So he sold this silver thing and that thing and the other thing, and just to make ends meet. Because again, if you read that book, The Glickle and Hamlin, if someone didn't have money, you really understand what it meant that
Oh yeah,
that was the end of them.
Yeah.
There was nothing. So everything revolved around making money. Much worse than today in a way. Okay. Anyway, so he lost his money. He starts pawning things in his home, buying stuff just to live. Okay. And somehow he makes it, whatever. Finally, it gets to a point where there's like almost nothing left in his home except for the special cup. And he says to his wife, that's it. I don't know what to do. We tried all the years to avoid selling this cup. It's our special cup for Elijah. But nothing else we could do about it this year. This year we got to sell it. It's the only way we're going to be able to buy provisions for the Seder. And the wife said, no, we can't. This is our special cup. This is our special mitzvah. The one mitzvah we're so careful and grateful about all the years. Let's not sell the cup. We have to have trust in God and he's going to help us. And he said, okay. And it gets closer and closer to Passover and nothing comes through. They're still poor. They have no money to buy anything and he just can't take it anymore. So like the morning of the Seder, he's like, it's like too hurtful for me to see that there's nothing here, that we're not going to have a real Seder. I'm going to go to the synagogue. So he goes to the synagogue and he's there for quite a few hours. And finally it's late at night. He's like, okay, I better go home to my Sederless Seder. And he comes into the house and he sees like a table full of stuff. He's like, what is going on here? And he's like, what did you do? And she said, oh, you're not going to believe this. This after you left the house, this old man came by and he's like, oh, can I join you for the Seder? And I told him you could join us, but we have nothing to share. He's like, don't worry, I have everything you need. I'll give you stuff, you cook it, and I'll come back in a few hours, but you can start the Seder without me. Start and I'll come whenever you can, you can. And so she started to get to work, she cooked, she set the table, she's so excited. And she's like, and here we are, we're ready to start the Seder. And he said not to wait for him, he'll come late. And they start the Seder, and sure enough, right, it was a time of kosher Eliyahu, the old man walks in, and he joins them.
That's way late in the Seder, by the way.
Yeah, somewhere late in the
It's
Seder.
way late.
He joins them. And obviously they realize that this is Elijah the prophet, Eliyahu Hanavi, and he tells them, you had such self-sacrifice for this special mitzvah to keep this goblet that now heaven's decided that you'll no longer be poor. God will bless you and everything will be good in your life. And they lived happily ever after. Okay, so that's just like one story. Is it a true story? Is it not a true story? I don't know, but the idea is how special this kosher Eliyahu, the cup of Elijah, is in all Jewish homes, regardless of affiliation, regardless of anything. I think everybody has this in their home. Okay, so we see that's a very special part of our Seder, but where does it come from? Another thing is, we all know that we drink 4 cups of wine at the Seder. And this seems like a 5th cup. So is it a 5th cup, or is it a just totally separate count? Is there no count of this cup? And where does the idea of the 4 cups of wine even come from? Exactly, we don't know. So we're going to look back, and the source is in the Talmud, in both in text 1a and 1b. Hey, we don't have a lot of readers tonight. You want to do that one?
All right, 1A.
Okay.
Even the most destitute Jew should not be.
Page 199.
What? Am I the wrong?
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
Oh, sorry. Am I the wrong one?
No, you're good.
No, you're
It's 199. Sorry. Should not be provided with less than 4 cups of wine, even if they are being supplied by the public food bank.
Okay, so if someone's so poor that they can't even afford to buy their own food, they have to get food from like the
WIC, Women,
Yeah.
and Children. No,
Not-
SNAP.
yeah,
the
or
SNAP.
SNAP or
SNAP
not even that, or like right, for
EBT
the,
card.
or Trump House, whatever it is.
The-
That they
Salvation Army.
the no
No, I don't.
Shabbat
Sorry.
or food banks. They have kosher food. And
Okay, yeah, right. There's
So-
right.
even they have to give the poor people at least enough wine
Mm.
for 4 cups
Wow.
at the Seder. That's like a basic of the Seder. It just shows you how integral the 4 cups are to the Seder. Okay. It's like considered like the basics, like having the matzah. Okay. And then text 1. So that's one part that tells us about the 4 cups. And the next part is text 1b, also from the Talmud. Do you want to do that one, Helene?
Sure. The sages instituted the drinking of 4 cups in the manner of freedom, and they attached a mitzvah to be performed with each one. Over the 4th cup, the leader of the Seder recites the complete Halal and the blessing of the song at the end of Halal.
We continue.
What is more? What is
Okay.
more?
Yeah.
What is the blessing of the song? Rabbi Yehuda said, it is the blessing that begins with the words, they shall praise you, Lord our God. Rabbi Yochanan said that one also recites the Nishmat prayer, beginning with the words, the breath of all living things. The sages taught us in
But Baraita.
Baraita, over the 5th cup, one completes Halal and recites the great Halal. This is the opinion of Rabbi Tarfon.
Okay, so this is also original source of what the 4 cups are about, and what we see from here, we don't understand it all, and also kind of like dots, it skips a little bit. What we see is that there's a 4 cups of wine, and there's each cup is connected with some type of mitzvah. Okay. Another thing we see is that the 4th cup is connected to the prayer of Hallel, where we praise Hashem. And the third thing, what we read at the end, is Rabbi Tarfon says that Hallel is said over the 5th cup of wine. So it seems that there must be a debate or argument. Is there 4 cups or is there 5 cups? Is the Hallel for the 4th cup or for the 5th cup? Now, whenever there is a dispute in the Talmud, and there's no compromise, there's no resolve. It's not like saying, hey, we're all going according to this rabbi, according to that rabbi. They try to make a compromise. So this compromise that kind of people thought is that you should have the 5th cup of wine, but we don't drink it. So like we'll have the 5th cup in case that's the correct opinion, but we don't drink it because because the other rabbis say there's only 4 cups. Okay, especially because there's a halacha, there's a law, text number 2, and I'll just read it easily. That says, text number 2, after the 4 cups, we're not allowed to drink any more wine, only water.
Ooh,
So
water.
if you only have 4 cups, you're not allowed to have anything after the 4 cups, then how can you have a 5th cup? So that's for sure they can't drink the 5th cup. They just fill it up and don't drink it. So we can either choose an opinion, or what happens is, or we could say, okay, what's this all about? Do we just have 4 cups? Do we have 5 cups? Do we pour the 5th cup and not drink it? Do we drink the 5th cup? What's the right way to go? And then if it is Eliyahu's cup, why is it called Eliyahu's cup? Why isn't it called something else? So we have a lot of interesting things about this Talmud, about this debate. So the answer is that in the tradition, okay, so why is it called Eliyahu's cup? We'll answer that, and then we can answer the other things. Okay, so
By the way, is this only Ashkenazi or is everybody? Because I noticed the years are
so that's
yeah.
another good question. So
Yeah.
I think everyone does it,
really because
but yes, we're gonna discuss the years. We're gonna
yeah,
discuss the
the
years now.
Sephardic
Yes.
people are unaware of this.
Right,
What we're talking about.
right. Very good observation over here. Okay, so it says that when Mashiach comes, any answer that we didn't answer, like that we didn't know, like how to do this mitzvah, how to do that, like any answer in the Talmud that's not answered, it says Eliyahu will come and tell us the answer.
Right, okay. Sounds good to me.
Okay, so in the Talmud, when there is something that's not resolved, they say teku, which means it stands. The question stands. We don't have an answer for it.
Eiku.
Teku. Yeah, I'm gonna read in text
Is
over
that
here what that
Hebrew?
is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh wow.
text
Teku.
3.
Yeah,
Oh,
we don't
wow.
text it.
Okay.
So this is one of those things that's like teku. We don't
teku.
really understand. We don't know what it is.
Teku.
And what does
Teku.
teku mean?
Take
Teko. It's just teko,
The
but-
O is on the
Yeah,
take
teko. So some say teko is an acronym for the Hebrew phrase tishbi yitaretz kishuyot ve'ibayot, which means a lot. Tishbi stands for Eliyahu because Eliyahu was called Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi. You know the song? So he was Eliyahu Tishbi. So Tishbi means Eliyahu.
Right.
He will answer all our questions and problems.
Ah, got it.
Okay, so when we pour that fifth cup, we say, hey, we don't know the real answer, but since Eliyahu will answer us, we'll call this Eliyahu's cup. Okay.
Oh, so in other words, they made the fifth cup Eliyahu's cup because they didn't know fifth yes or no, so they'll make this Eliyahu.
Well, yeah, Eliyahu, one
We
day
don't know.
Eliyahu will tell us, yes, this is the.
So really, it wasn't. It was a debate on the fifth. They didn't know about the fifth cup, and they said, "Okay, we'll make this Eliyahu. He'll come by and tell us the answer."
Exactly.
Oh,
Exactly.
wow.
But on the other hand, it still doesn't answer us like why we say Eliyahu comes to the Seder
Oh,
and
okay.
takes us, right? It only tells us that, yeah, it's called Eliyahu's cup because he's going to give us the correct answer. At
Well,
some,
we have to
once
entice him. We
Mashiach
have to
comes.
call him. We have to open the door and call him. Say, hey,
So now,
buddy, come by.
okay, so we're going to talk about, well, this is not the only answer. One second. Okay, so now let us read, so text number 4 tells us this. Okay, text number 4.
Maybe it's Valentine.
No, yeah. She doesn't say. One of you guys want to read?
Online?
Yes, me.
Okay, go for it, Valentina.
Okay, let me try to make it big because it's on my phone. Okay, the following is why it is customary to pour a fifth cup, which we call Elijah's cup. There is a Talmudic dispute as to whether we ought to drink the fifth cup at the Seder. The final ruling was never issued. So Elijah will resolve this question when he arrives because there is doubt about this matter. We pour the fifth cup, but do not drink it. We call it Elijah's cup to indicate that when he comes, this doubt among all others will be resolved.
Okay, so kind of what I said in a nutshell. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, exactly what you said.
Yeah. Okay. So that's really nice theory of why it might be called Elijah's cup, but still leaves us with some question. Doesn't answer everything. So why do we pour only one cup for the whole table, right? Because the 4 cups, each person drinks their own cup. So why doesn't everyone pour a fifth cup? Why is there only one cup at the table called Elijah's cup, right?
Exactly.
So what's that all about? And just to give you a few little small things more about Elijah's cups and stuff, a lot of people, great rabbis would like wait to see Eliyahu Hanavi himself, Elijah himself. So there are many different stories of different seders that people had where they would like try to see, so like there was this there was known that said that there was a great Rabbi Chaim Gottlieb of Strapkov, who would be visited by Elijah the prophet at the Seder, and all these people wanted to come to the Seder to be able to see him. And they would ask him to come to the Seder. He said, why not? And sure, come. Okay, fine. So they came and they're all excited. And then guess what happened? Somewhere in the Seder, they'd fall into deep sleep and they'd miss the action. So obviously only the people who were like merited to see Elijah would actually see Elijah. Okay. So now we're going to go to another theory of why where does Elijah's cup come from? Okay, so you pointed out you saw these things were like more recent
Right.
writings. So it says it's not an ancient custom. It's actually a really more recent innovation. Okay. So the theme in general of Passover and the Seder is redemption, right? Because God took us out of Egypt, and God will take us out of the exile that we're in now. And so the theme of the Seder is always all about Mashiach, Geula, which is redemption. And the point is that we don't drink that cup, that fifth cup that we don't know what to do with. Why? Because Elijah is supposed to come, and he's supposed to bring the redemption. He's supposed to foretell the redemption. So he let him come and drink it. Who was Elijah? Who was Eliyahu? Who was Elijah? He was a prophet that lived in the 8th century BCE. So okay, he was there during the times of the first temple, of the first Beis Hamikdash. At the time when there were two kingdoms in Israel, there was the Davidic kingdom, and then there was the Israel kingdom. And he lived within the Israel kingdom, like the general Jewish population. And at that time when he lived, there was a really evil Jewish king named Achav. And he had a wife who was even worse. Her name was Izebel.
Oh, is Ahab, in English, Ahab, and Jezebel.
And Jezebel. But Izebel in Hebrew, Zevel means garbage, which is very interesting.
Oh, Zevel means garbage.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So they were big idol worshippers. And they tried to push their whole kingdom, the whole country, to worship idols like them. And so much so that they decided they want to get rid of all the prophets of God, all the Jewish prophets. And they did whatever they could. Now, Elijah, he tried to obviously do the opposite. He was trying to get the nation to turn towards God and not towards the prophet. At that time, there was a very big, idol worship. There was a very big idol called the Baal.
Oh, the Baal.
The Baal. Okay, that was a very famous one. There's a whole famous story of how Elijah put the prophets of the Baal to shame and everything. But Elijah had a lot of ability that God had given him. So like it says that, let's say, he took the proverbial key for rain from God, and he told God to make it stop, not let it rain, so people would feel a strain that they, and they would turn to God. For example, there's a story of how he resurrected the dead.
Right.
And not just that, at the end of Elijah's life, Eliyahu's life, it talks about in the prophet, is it Yechezkel? How he didn't die and was buried, but he actually went in a chariot up back towards heaven, complete. So that's what, and then today when we talk about Elijah the prophet, we say, oh, he comes to the circumcisions, he comes to the Seder, right? He's the one that's going to come and tell us Mashiach is coming. So he has a very interesting role. There was no other person that, let's say, had that went up.
Is there a book of Elijah? Okay.
No, it's not called Elijah, but it's within the book of.
Why is that? Like we have Ezekiel, we have everybody, and then why don't we have?
No. So
I don't get that.
Because he's within the book of the Kings.
Oh, he's in the book of the Kings.
Yeah, probably Kings 2.
Okay, got it. Kings 2. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So
we have Isaiah. We've got all the prophets. Like, why does this guy have a book?
Because Isaiah was a very long. So it just depended what era or how long it was and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah. This was still, Okay. Anyway, so number 5 is the easy one. Andrew, you want to do this one? You have to undo your mute. Okay. Okay, I'll do this one. You'll unmute, and then I'll have you do the next one. Okay.
You want me to do it? Or?
No, I can do it.
Okay.
Behold, I'm sending to you. Oh, there you go. Okay, go for it.
Andrea's there.
Behold, I am sending to you Elijah, the prophet, before the day of Hashem comes.
Okay, before the day of God comes, before the day of Hashem comes. So what does that mean? So this is a quote from the prophets, and it's basically saying that the Jews that are in exile, they pray for the day that God comes, meaning the day that Mashiach comes, when there'll be no more sorrow or pain and everything, and God will fill the whole entire universe. So it's basically telling us that God will come before the coming of Mashiach and tell us that Mashiach is coming. He is what says like they say it'll say that Elijah will come on a donkey through the one of the gates, right,
yeah,
of the old city.
yeah,
Some
right.
there's different things that are
Right.
talk about. Okay, so Rashi explains this text number 6. What does this mean? Oh, okay. And you want to read?
Well, maybe I think she wanted Valentina.
Helene,
Yeah. Yeah, I can.
Okay, Valentina. Okay.
Yeah. I will remember my covenant with Jacob. The name Yaakov is written in full with a vav in 5 pieces in scripture, and the name Elijah is written defectively without a vav in 5 places in scripture. Jacob took a letter vav from the name of Elijah as security to guarantee that he would come and herald the redemption of his Jacob's children.
Okay.
Wow.
So Yaakov wanted to make sure that Eliyahu will actually come and herald in Mashiach. So we know Eliyahu is connected to the coming of Mashiach, and that's why we pour that 5th cup for him. Because although Mashiach can come at any time or any moment, it definitely says that the month of Nisan and the Passover, since that was the first redemption that God did for the Jewish people, that is a very opportune time for the final redemption, for the time of Mashiach to come. And so we call it Eliyahu's cup to like show how much we believe that God is going to redeem the Jewish people from exile.
I don't want you to think. So Yaakov is spelled something to just the.
Usually it's spelled Yud Ayin Kuf Va Beis, but in some places it's spelled with Kuf Va Beis.
Oh,
Like Cholam is like a full Cholam, and Eliyahu is usually spelled with the Vav at the end, Eliyahu, like the kibbutz, but in some places it's not spelled like that.
Well, how do you get the U part then? How do you do it?
They just have the kibbutz underneath the shirt.
Oh, the 3
dots.
the 3 dots on the diagonal. Okay, got it.
Okay, so Aline, you want to read number 7?
Yeah. In the month of Nisan, we redeemed from Egypt, and in Nisan we will be redeemed again. How do we know this? For the verse states regarding Passover Eve, it is a night of anticipation of God. This means that it's a night that has been anticipated since the 6 days of creation as the date of the final redemption.
Okay, so this is why Passover is so steeped in tradition and prayers about redemption, right? We end off the Seder with L'Shana Haba, Yerushalayim, next year in Jerusalem. The night of, we tell the story of the redemption from Egypt and keep saying that God will redeem us again. And there's many symbols that remind us of redemption at the Seder. So it's redemptive time. Yeah, is that the right word? Okay. And text number 8.
Yes,
This is a very interesting one.
Helene can add, maybe Helene. Yeah,
Eva doesn't like to read long.
Okay, sure. In numerous places, it is customary to leave the doors unlocked on Passover Eve. For in the month of Nisan, we were redeemed from Egypt, and in Nisan, we will be redeemed again. As it says, it is a night of anticipation for Hashem, which means a night that has been anticipated since the 6 days of creation as the date of the final redemption. If Elijah indeed arrives, he will find an open door, and we will be able to go out to greet him quickly. Indeed, we believe that he will arrive. It is customary in our regions to pour one additional cup we call Elijah's cup.
See, so this guy lived in 1670 to 1733, and he explains we call it Elijah's cup for this. So it's something that the later generations has instituted, this idea of Elijah's cup. And then you're saying, so what about the Sephardim? I think the Sephardim still do it, but we could double check with them. So it could be there are multiple reasons or of how it came about. As we said.
So there's commentary through from different sages, different rabbis.
Right.
And it's all entered into the...
But that's Ashkenazic, because when the temple went kapoof and zero, they don't know any of this. Remember, they went back to Persia and went to Iraq. the Sephardic know nothing
Well, they
about.
went to a lot of places,
Well,
but
they mostly went to
Spain-
Morocco, Spain.
Spain
Well,
was most.
then, well, to me, most of them actually just went back to Iraq
Well, it's
and
called
Persia. Not that
Sephardim from the word so.
I know, but most of them, I mean,
So anyway, so either way, no, but
most,
it's still, but I mean, obviously there was first of all there was communication back and forth over the years,
yeah.
and obviously somehow they both, because I think there's a tradition that both keep
Yes,
Ashkenaz
you're right.
Sephardim.
They didn't go to Spain and go back to Iraq. No,
No,
they went to Iraq and
no,
Iraq
but they ended up
direct.
in different places.
Oh yeah, no,
And
no, I know,
from,
no,
yeah,
I know.
from
Libya,
Spain they ended up in
Tunisia.
Morocco.
Yeah.
Initially, there were the two, like,
Well,
we
then-
were expelled from.
We're all expelled from Israel.
Israel.
Then there was Babylonia was up here and.
Yeah, so some, but
Jerusalem was down here.
but
No,
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 but the
no,
Jews,
No, directly east. No, Babylon's
The-
directly east.
Babylonia's like Iraq.
Iraq, yeah, Babylon's so it's directly
But-
east of Syria. It's east of Syria.
But that was the first temple. We're talking about the
first
second temple.
Second, yeah, I'm talking about second.
Temple, which was
Yeah.
was the Romans.
The
Right.
Romans were second
So
temple.
Right.
some ended up like east. I mean, sorry,
East.
like Europe, like
Right.
west. I mean, like
Well,
you
north.
know, you have northwest.
Northwest. Yeah.
Some ended up running down towards like we said, Spain, which is not even so much farther.
No, they went to
Or-
Morocco, Tunisia.
I think that was later.
What?
Not
No.
later.
No, okay.
When they
My
were
friends are
still-
from Iraq and Iran. They're
They're
not Spain.
all the way back.
No, they're from
No, I'm saying
no.
they're from Iraq and Spain and
No,
and
it's time out.
Tunisia
Wait,
from
no,
all the way to the beginning
No.
of the destruction. That's what I'm asking you.
no. Okay, like for example, Nino, he's from Israel, but they just went. Well, they went to North Africa.
Okay,
Right,
so that's like
okay,
Morocco.
right. But there are
Okay.
people, I think, like my friend from Iraq. I believe she does the modern
But
stuff.
she was, but they always in Iraq is my question.
No,
There's I'll say there's
no,
a lot
no,
of
no.
Iranians
No,
who
right.
let's say
yeah.
100 years ago ran from Russia, ended up in Iran.
Okay,
There
wait,
are those
wait.
that were there from years and years and years.
Okay, the second temple was built by the Persians because Esther's son or Esther's grandson built the second temple.
Yeah.
It started it.
Yeah.
So when things went bad, those people went back to Persia because they were the people who built it. They were Persians. They went back and to Iraq.
No, but also could be they were
No, they
they were
went no,
expelled to different places. I mean,
No, no, but
they went to other kind of places.
But my friend is not from original. No, she's the Iraqi. Okay,
That's
so
what I'm asking where she
no.
originally she is her family from Iraq from 100,000 years?
No,
No, that's what I'm asking you.
I don't think so. I could find out, but I think everybody I know, at least like the Afghanistan or whatever, all that way. Well, not Afghanistan, but I'm just about the Persians and the Iraqis.
Mhm.
I thought
Well,
after the
They
second.
say so. The Iranians say that actually that they don't consider themselves Sephardim. They say they're
Oh,
different.
Mizrahi. I
They call
know, yeah.
themselves
I don't
whatever.
know.
Understand?
Because Mizrahi means east. That's all.
Okay,
Mizrahi
but-
means east, and
Okay,
that's all it
let's
is.
see. We'll get back to the class. But,
Okay, okay.
but either way, a huge amount of Jews end up in Spain.
Yeah,
Right?
yes,
And then
yes,
there are
yes.
Jews that were in France and Germany. Those were called Ashkenazim. The Jews in Spain were called the Sephardim.
Yeah.
So before that, till they actually like
Wait,
became so distinct.
wait. I'm raising my hand. No, my friend's from Iraq. She's Iraqi, 100%
That's asking you
Iraqi.
from 1,000 years back.
No,
Oh, so from when?
from the destruction of the second temple.
That's what I'm saying. That's
So
over
she's
1,000 years ago.
So,
Or whatever,
it's
2000
2000,
years.
and she calls herself Sephardic.
Okay.
Not Mizrahi, but
Okay.
Iraq. She is Babylonian, like you said, exactly. But she comes from after the second temple. Then they just went back to Babylonia.
But that was a good.
That's exactly what.
But that was a good 400 years at least.
Yeah, maybe late.
So I don't know.
Yeah,
Okay,
right.
whatever it is,
Yeah,
that's
okay,
the
right.
terms because of the huge
Okay.
amount of people end up in Spain.
Okay, right.
Huge amount of people ended
Well,
up there.
then,
Okay.
okay.
Anyway, okay.
Well, I'll find out
So-
if she didn't kill her.
So either way, what we
Okay.
just read in text number 8 is that there are there's two customs that this man mentions. One is that we keep our doors unlocked the first night of Pesach to show that we're ready for Elijah to come, and that there's this idea of cup of Elijah, cup of Eliyahu. And so both of these are connected, related, because we're saying, hey, we remember the Exodus from Egypt with the 4 cups, and so we pour another cup for the redemption that God will, herald in, and that will be announced by Elijah. And we're sure he's coming tonight, so we're gonna keep our door open for him and get him ready to come. He can just walk right through the door and let us know. Okay, so very, very nice. But what's interesting, if you look at text number 8, it says it's customary in our region.
Yeah,
and the bottom, the last
Yeah,
sentence. Okay,
yeah.
so what does that mean? So
Oh,
what region? Okay,
Okay,
so
right.
it seems that this idea was introduced by the Ashkenazim in Europe, and So was it not done previously?
Right.
And even more is, our generation, in a way, as I said before, seems less in touch spiritually with their Judaism, seems less, in a way, where we have a weaker sense of spirituality. So why are we the generation that gets to herald in Mashiach? Okay, so let's read text 9a.
We need it the most.
And why didn't generations before do this tradition? Okay, I guess I'll read it. If the early generations are characterized as sons of angels, we are the sons of men. And if the early generations are characterized as sons of men, we are akin to donkeys.
Wow.
And this is not referring to extraordinary intelligent donkeys of Rabbi Hanina ben Dosa or the donkey of Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair. Rather, we are akin to regular donkeys. So spiritually, every generation, we go down and down, okay? So
the talking, this is about the talking donkey. The girl donkey, is that what he means?
this well,
No, that's it.
well,
Oh,
I'll
it's
talk about
different.
that in a second.
Oh.
So yeah.
Right. Wow.
I'll tell you on the later, exactly. So
Wow.
it says that Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair's donkey was so spiritually sensitive
Mhm.
that if there was grain that wasn't, that the tith, that the meister wasn't given properly, he wouldn't eat the grain because he felt it wasn't right.
Oh, the donkey.
Yeah, the donkey wouldn't eat
Wow.
it, okay?
The donkey was a filter.
Well, no, the people for sure felt it or knew it. But even the
Oh.
donkey,
Oh, and the donkey knew.
even the donkey would too.
No, that was...
Right? It says like
Yeah.
it says that the maidservant at the splitting of the sea saw more miracles, saw God more than we do, let's say.
Got it.
So the same idea. Like we're very special. Our spiritual sensitivity is very coarse. Their spiritual sensitivity was much higher, much
Right.
more heightened than we are.
Too, yes.
Okay, so 9b. Valentina, want to read it?
Yes. So Rabbi Yochanan said, the heart, the wisdom of the early sages were as white as the doorway to the entrance hall of the temple, which was 20 by 40 cubits. And the hearts of the later sages were like the doorway to the sanctuary, which was 10 by 20 cubits. And our hearts are like the eyes of a fine needle.
Okay, so this is not to make us feel good. But the old generations, they were so much more connected, so much more spiritually in tune. And so they were able to like know and understand a lot more. And that's why, thank God that they wrote the books so we could just read them and it's easier for us. But compared to them, our spiritual sensitivity, our spiritual holiness is very, very, very small.
Like a donkey.
Huh?
A bad, like an uneducated donkey, a non-intellectual
It's like a regular donkey. Okay.
A regular
So compared to our forefather, we're like Gen Z. That's what I would explain it.
No, Gen Z is the good
Okay,
one. No, millenniums are the
Depends on
weirdos.
what way. Okay.
Millenniums.
Depends on what way.
Okay.
Okay.
Depends.
So text number 10. Who wants to read
Hey,
this
my
one?
kids are Gen Z. They're really intelligent.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. From the time the temple was destroyed, our spirit departed us. Our crowning glory was lost, leaving us as mere bodies without souls. Our exile to foreign lands was like a grave for us, as we were surrounded by worms and had no way to save ourselves from the idolaters who devoured our flesh. Well, that's pretty graphic.
Mhm.
Groups of scholars and great academies persisted for a time until the flesh decayed and the bones were scattered further and further. Even then, the bones remained, for the Torah scholars of Israel upheld the body. But eventually, the bones too decayed, leaving behind only a spoonful of decomposed bone dust, for our soul is cast down to the dust. Now we await the resurrection of the dead, as the verse states, arise, shake yourselves off from the dust, and may a spirit from above be poured upon us.
Okay, this sounds pretty awful.
When is the first temple?
It doesn't make us feel so good.
Is the first temple? Is this the first temple? And it says the temple.
Yeah, just as a temple.
Probably the
it could be
first
first or the second, but either way, it's
Okay.
showing how
Yeah.
much, how we are so less, say, holy or spiritual than they were. So then how is it possible then for our generations to come up with new customs and new ideas and stuff like that? So precisely because we're a lower level, we're the ones who innovated this fifth cup, this cup of Eliyahu. Because we're so, that we're the ones waiting for Mashiach. And why is that? Because our spiritual status may be so much lower than other generations, it makes us much more simple, okay? Like simplicity in a way sometimes brings sincerity,
Mm.
okay? If someone's very simple, they might be very, very sincere. So
Mhm.
sometimes sophistication takes away that sincerity. And so because we are so, let's say, simple and sincere, that is a positive for us. That is something in our favor when it comes to certain things.
So dumb is good.
I don't say dumb, but just like simple and not so
Simple,
well,
okay.
fine-tuned to the
Yeah.
spiritual.
Oh, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right, right.
Because if you know so much, then you could like look so much more deeper. But a child, let's say, is simple, they end up being so much more like sincere about things,
All
right?
right.
They're pure and honest. So text number 11, despite the fact that we are living in the final era before the coming of Mashiach and the souls diminish in every passing generation, our hearts should not falter. Consider what happened to our ancestors during their exile. It was specifically during exile that they attained all the greatest levels of holiness, for such is the divine will. So there's a whole nother story which we're not going to discuss in this class, but like sometimes I think we discussed it in one of our other classes. Deep in the darkness is when the most light can come about. I heard in the name of the Holy Rebbe Simcha Bunim of Pesach, of blessed memory, that although the souls diminish in greatness with each passing generation, nevertheless, the inner core of the heart becomes progressively pure. So our inner core, our hearts, becomes pure. And so we are like dwarfs on giant shoulders, okay? The generations before us are the giants, so to say, and we are like the dwarfs. But so the Rebbe asks, if the previous generations didn't merit Mashiach, how can we, right? If they were so great and that Mashiach didn't come then what are our chances? The text number 12. Wants to do this one? Yvette, want to do it?
No, it's way too long. We're doing.
Okay.
How can we say that? Oh,
Go ahead, Helen.
how can we say that our generation is so deeply related to the redemption? Didn't our sages teach if the early generations are like angels, we are like humans? Is our generation the most worthy? Furthermore, how can one claim that a single action alone can trigger the future redemption, seemingly tipping the scale by the minuscule difference shouldn't be able to affect such a change as the complete and true redemption? We can answer the question based on the parable given in Jewish ethical works about a dwarf standing on a giant's shoulders. Although the dwarf is small, by standing on the giant's shoulders, they are able to see further than the giant.
Okay, and it continues.
The apples to our this applies to our generation. The earlier generations are comparable to the giant. The earlier ones are like angels. Our generation, on the other hand, is comparable to the dwarf. Nevertheless, since all of our generation's work, the dwarf builds upon the labor of the earlier generation on the shoulders of the giant. It is specifically the efforts of our generation that can bring about the future redemption. As our sages have stated, the task is attributed only to the one who completes it. So basically, and do mitzvahs and just serve God, right?
Sure, yeah. So we may have deficiencies, but at the end of the day, the generations before us did so much of the pre-work, and it's up to us to like we have to we're the ones they're holding us up, they're behind us, and we just have to finish a job. All this accumulative work from them propels us forward to do our little part that we need to do to bring the redemption. So the people that introduced the custom to have the cup of Elijah at the Seder was the final generations, not the earlier generations, but the ones that were just why? Because they're the ones that had this great simplistic sincere belief in the coming of Mashiach. And let's go with text number 13. Because our generation is the one that's ready for Mashiach, that really
Oh wow, that's
that
interesting.
believes so much more. Yes.
It's like the simple son, sort of the Passover Seder, right? Is it the simple son or the one that doesn't ask?
That what?
What we're compared to how
No, not compared to either of those. Just
Oh,
the idea
okay.
that like
Oh, okay.
sometimes someone who's like who doesn't know as like that who said doesn't know as much, doesn't know all the back and forth, that is
Well, that's the simple son. He
more
asked,
trust, more
no,
trust, more belief.
it's not like because I always thought the simple son is that like he doesn't know. It's like, hey, tell me about the Passover Seder.
Right, he's open. Yeah, he's open to knowing. You're right, but it doesn't not particularly compared to this specific thing. Okay, text number 13. The belief in Mashiach's coming is present in every Jew, as all Jews are believers, the children of believers, regardless of the level of divine service we have attained with our conscious self. We constantly possess openly, or at least in the inner depths of our soul, faith in the coming of the Mashiach, and not only faith that he will eventually come, but also actual anticipation of his arrival. We all possess this faith because it's a divine commandment stated in both the written Torah and the oral Torah. Moreover, the closer we find ourselves to the time of Mashiach, the stronger and brighter this faith grows among the Jewish people. This is why it is specifically in the later generations that the custom of pouring an additional cup called the cup of Elijah the prophet has been revealed and spread. So we could also attain great, great heights because we're building on the, work of our ancestors. So even though we might not be as spiritually attuned or sophisticated in that way as generations before us, we have something deeper and more powerful. We have this unvarnished faith, that simple faith, right? That sincere faith. And this quality shines through, and it's, that helps us get to where we need to go.
We're more open-minded, I would say, in a way. We're more ready to receive.
Yeah, yeah.
So what's the difference between the oral and the written Torah?
So the written Torah is the Tanakh,
Okay,
and the oral Torah is like the Talmud and the explanations on the Torah,
okay.
and then the mystical parts of the Torah and everything else. Yeah. Okay. So right, we hold this simplicity is unique because it doesn't this not having this sophistication that maybe in spirituality the other generations had. It helps us. It ends up elevating us. So you don't need to be a scholar or a mystic or anything to connect to God. In our generation, we just need to do, as Valentina said, just do any simple mitzvah that we can do. If we could do a little prayer from the siddur, if we could light the Shabbos candles, if we could learn a little bit of Torah, right? Any type of little mitzvah that you can do, through sincerity will help bring that ultimate redemption. So don't say, oh, what are we, a generation, we're forget about it, we're lost, we're done, we're Gen Z, we're millennials, whatever you want to call us.
Gen Z is good. Oh my kids, Gen Z, my kids are great. Well, Gen Z, they're very
So can I ask you a question? Because you mentioned, when the Mashiach comes and then, the New Jerusalem, and then, the God is going to be in the whole universe, and, it's not going to be pain, and it's not going to be. So basically, we're trying to save the whole world, because at the end of the day, it was the 12 tribes that started everything. So we're trying to save just us, or we're trying to save the whole world.
So when God created the world, he created it with the intention that his light will be in the whole entire world. And
Amen.
the sin of the tree, and then with the sin of the golden calf, mainly from the tree when the Adam and Eve ate from the tree of knowledge, so that light got retracted. And we are working to bring back that light. Every mitzvah we do, remember we spoke about this, I think, in the last class. Oh, maybe you weren't there. Reveals more lights. So every time we do a mitzvah, it reveals godly light in that thing that we're doing the mitzvah with, until the whole entire world will be filled with godliness. So it's for everybody, not just for us. Short answer.
Amen.
Yes.
So yes.